If you're sick and tired of just giving up your budget to Google and wasting a ton of money on your Google Ads pay-per-click campaigns, this is definitely the video to keep watching. I have put together 10 different things that I've uncovered after auditing hundreds of Google Ads accounts for professional service-based businesses, and would love to share that with you. But if you're new here, my name is Michelle Kopp. I'm the founder of Level 28 Media, and I help small businesses generate leads, which are phone calls or form submissions through Google Ads. So if you're interested in getting an audit or having managed services, check out the link below so that you can reach out to me and we can have a conversation. So I'm going to go ahead and just dive in here for these top 10 budget wasters that I see when I'm looking at accounts, auditing different accounts, and let's go ahead and just take you through that. The first thing that I typically see as I'm auditing, a big issue is being opted into something called the Google Search Partner Network. And in this case, what happens is with the Google Search Partner Network, these are websites like AskJeeves.com or some second tier search engines that Google partners with, so that they can essentially just drain your budget. So if you are running ads and you're using the Google Search Partners Network, I would highly recommend you to opt out and just stay away, because it's nothing but a waste of budget for the most part. Sometimes I have seen it work, but it's very rare to see it work in a local lead generation type of campaign. So the way to go about doing that is go to the campaign that you want to opt out, or just check to see if you're even opted in. Go to settings, go to networks, and if this is checked, then you are in the Google Search Partners Network. So I would uncheck that. And then something else is also being opted into the display network. When you're setting up a new Google Ads account, typically, or campaign, they will opt you into both search network and display network. And I would recommend, if you want the highest quality traffic, to opt out of both. So just make sure that you have that. Display network is typically not the first place that I would recommend my clients put their ad budget, especially if it's a more limited ad budget. Definitely not a place to get the highest volume of leads. It can work, but you need a good strategy and the right audiences and so forth, which I'm not going to get into within this video, but just understand that display network is more awareness based, search network is more intent based. But don't be fooled by being opted into search partners and display network. And of course, Google is going to be trying to use different messaging in order to get you to opt in. Like, most advertisers include their ads on the search partner network sites. So it creates FOMO, or it creates a sense of like, oh, I don't want to miss out. But trust me, you're not missing out. You're actually going to be saving money. So make sure that you're opted out of both. The second or the third area that you would want to look at is your auto apply recommendations tab. Please, please, please double check your recommendations tab. Make sure that you are not opted into auto apply recommendations. So in this case, because this campaign's been off, you won't see it because this is a pause campaign. But if you go to recommendations, and then what happens is they will have recommendations in this account for you to check or uncheck. Please make sure that you have unchecked all of their recommendations. It's very rare that I've ever seen a recommendation that is helpful. Sometimes it'll be like, oh, remove duplicate keywords. Sometimes it will give some very few suggestions that are helpful, but for the most part, don't blindly implement recommendations. Now, within the account, there's also something else called auto apply recommendations, which I'm not seeing here because this account's been off. But at the top right corner, there's going to say something called auto apply suggestions. Make sure you've opted out of auto apply suggestions. This is pretty much Google asking for permission to make changes to your account. So if you opt into this, Google will be making changes to your account. It's going to remove exact match keywords. It might do things like add a lot of broad match keywords. It might increase your budget. So without really having your full consent, actually it will ask for your consent, but you might not actually be reading it carefully enough so that you know exactly what they're doing. So please check out of the auto apply suggestions. Do not let Google apply any type of edits to your account, because I've seen so many times advertisers opt into this and then they completely get screwed over because they weren't paying attention and they just trusted Google's suggestions. So I've actually had this happen to me personally, where I took over an account and I didn't realize they were opted into auto apply, and then all of my keywords were removed and they added a bunch of broad match keywords. I was very upset and I could not undo it. So that was the challenge. They made it very hard to undo it, so I had to reset everything. Please, please, please do not opt into auto apply suggestions. And I do have a video on that. I will go ahead and drop it in the link below so you can see how you can opt out of that as well. The third thing that you would want to look into is if you're using something called a smart campaign. So typically a smart campaign is going to be a campaign that you can set up within maybe about 5 to 10 minutes. I don't have any here to show you, but essentially it's a type of campaign where you don't need to have really much set up in terms of keywords, ads, and so forth. It's very simple. It's very straightforward. The challenge is you cannot have full control over targeting specific devices. You also can't have full control over the specific keywords that you're targeting or match types. So please, if you are using smart campaigns, please opt out of that. But in this case, I don't have an example to show you. So just be mindful. Smart campaigns are not the best approach, especially if you are trying to save budget and have control over where your budget is being spent. The next area that I wanted to focus on is using too much broad match and phrase match with no negatives keywords list. So essentially, I don't have an example here exactly to show you because I always use phrase and exact match when I'm setting up campaigns. Phrase match is not an awful match type, although it's looking more like broad these days. But what I'm trying to get at is sometimes phrase match can be a little bit dangerous. So using broad match and phrase match without having a negative keywords list in place is going to just completely drain your budget. So please make sure that you've got negative keywords and that you have them all applied to your account and that you're not wasting budget in the wrong places. So that's one area. And then just in general, have negative keywords across the board that you're applying to your campaigns on a weekly or even monthly basis. If you're in the beginning stages of a campaign, I would do it on a daily basis because sometimes Google match types can go crazy. But just keep that in mind. Having a negative keywords list and also making sure you're implementing them correctly. I have a video on negative keywords and I also have a blog article, so I'll go ahead and link those below for you to check out as well. Another area where you could be wasting thousands of dollars is in the locations area tab settings, where you could be targeting outside of your geographic area. So go to settings and under your campaign and just scroll down, click on location options. Once you've clicked on location options, there's going to be two options. And of course, the recommended option is the one that I'm not going to recommend, but this is what Google recommends. And I'll explain the difference between the two. One is presence or interest, people in regularly in or who've shown interest in your targeted locations. And then the other option is presence, people in or regularly in your targeted locations. So, what's the difference? The first option is people, presence, or interest. So these are people that could be in your targeted areas or they commute to your targeted areas, but they could also be people who've shown interest in your targeted areas. So basically, it could be someone in Asia or someone in the UK looking for a bankruptcy attorney in Hamilton County or Johnson County or Marion County. But these wouldn't be your ideal clients because they're outside of the country. So keep that in mind. This could be attracting people outside of the country or outside of the state, outside of your geographic area. This is what I would keep it to if you're trying to keep the location targeting as tight as possible and you don't want to be attracting leads from outside of these targeted areas. So that's that. The next area that I want you to focus on in terms of identifying where you could be saving thousands of dollars is Performance Max. So I don't have an example of Performance Max in here because I stay far and far away from them. But Performance Max is a campaign type, just like Smart Campaigns, but essentially it's a campaign type that doesn't take into account keywords. Essentially, it's a very, it's very rudimentary in that, you know, it's not really designed for lead gen right now. If you're an e-commerce brand, yes, Performance Max is the way to go, but for lead gen, there's not enough information for Performance Max to really do a good job. So if anyone's been telling you Performance Max for lead gen is the way to go, it is not right now at least, and this is at the time of this recording, Q4 of 2023. But who knows? Things could be different in the future. Just FYI, Performance Max, stay away from it for now if you're doing local lead generation. And on top of that, if you don't have the budget to really be testing it, just stay far away. And then next is device targeting. So let's take a look at devices. Go to your campaign and then you will want to check out devices. Actually, I'm just going to go search for devices because I know that they've moved it around. Tablet tends to waste a lot of budget, only because people are not serious when they're really searching on their tablet. So I typically just put a negative bid adjustment on tablet in general because I just don't want to be targeting people that are not serious, especially when I am spending about $20 a click. It can get very expensive. This example is for a bankruptcy attorney's campaign a while back, but just wanted to show tablet can be a big waste of budget. If you've been running campaigns for a while, and you haven't opted out of tablet, you can see where you're wasting a lot of budget and where you might want to put more of your money towards. And then finally, let's talk about audiences. So you might actually be targeting the wrong audiences that could be draining your budget. So let's take a look. Go to audiences. If you're targeting 18 to 24 year olds or 65 plus year olds, just take a closer look at the performance. Every industry is going to be different. In this case, for this bankruptcy attorney, they don't want to target 18 to 24 year olds because typically they don't have the money to be filing bankruptcy. So that's why we don't want to be wasting our budget in this area. And then you can see at specific age ranges which ones perform the best. So if you want, you can block out the younger groups or even the older groups too if they're not converting. So keep that in mind as you're setting up your campaigns. Or if you've been running your campaign for a while and you're not seeing any performance come from a specific age demographic or a specific gender group or specific household income. So as you're building this out, keep that in mind. But one quick tip is do not block out unknown, because there's going to be no way for us to know if a big chunk of your unknown audience is coming from the right audience. But unknown could also be people in this age range too. So unknown audiences, it's a tricky one. Unfortunately, Google doesn't share with us a lot of information on the unknown, but I always keep it in there, even though I know it could be attracting some of the wrong audience, but it could be attracting the right audience. So I keep that in there. So hopefully this video was helpful in terms of having you identify areas in your account where you could be wasting budget. Go ahead and drop a comment below if you found some areas where you could have where you saved budget based off of, or where you think you could be saving budget based off of this video. I would love to hear from you. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, as well as subscribe to this channel. I make videos every week, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thank you.